Charles for PremierGuitar.com, and that's Simon over there.
Hello.
Simon's going to tell us about StageScape.
StageScape, yeah, the M20d. We're just launching it at NAMM here. Just having a little bit of a discussion with various folks here about mixing. Who's the sound guy in your band, right? One of the things we recognize that nobody wants to be the sound guy in the band. Why? Because if you're the sound guy in the band, you have to concentrate on doing this engineering stuff rather than getting on and playing, right?
That's right.
There's a reason for that. It's because when you're playing, it's a very creative function, right? It's all sort of right brain. As soon as you want to dial in your tone, the sound thing, you have to break out of that and jump into left brain engineering mode. They're called sound engineers for a reason, right? Because what you have to do is you have to interpret what you're hearing into this whole set of controls on a channel strip. If you want something brighter, you have to go, okay, well, what does bright mean? Oh, it's this EQ section of the soundboard, right? Or I have to dial this input trim in. And then you have to break back into your performance mode. And going from performer to engineer is a little bit disruptive, right? So our goal was to bring out this new way of mixing that really enabled you to sort of keep in that creative performance zone, right? Knowing it's for people that were in control of their own sound or had to control their own sound. So we got the StageScape that does that. So one of the ideas is why wouldn't, if you've got all this digital, because Line 6 is pretty good at doing digital signal processing, right? So if you've got all this digital signal processing, why wouldn't you just have an input that when you put it in, then it knew that it was a mic, right? And all the things that a front house engineer would do with a mic input, the DSP would just do that. That's the signal chain, those are the presets, and it would just sort it all out, right? Or if it were a guitar, a mic 4x12 cab, what would a front house engineer do with that? They'd twiddle all, they'd do that, and they'd use this outboard gear to add some dynamics, some extra EQ, or some reverb on the vocals and all that sort of stuff. So that's essentially what we wanted to do here, and started to think like that and saying, well, how would you represent that? Because then you don't need, if you've got digital signal, this processing, you don't need to see this channel strip, which has sort of been around since the dawn of time, right? So we decided we'd take this approach of having this visual representation of the stage. And I'll just sort of demo this right now. So let's say I've got a dynamic mic attached to the end of this XLR input. I just plug it into an input. It knows it's a mic level input. And right in the middle of my stage view, I have a little dynamic mic icon, right? I can plug a speaker in here, and then all of a sudden, I've got a whole channel strip, a whole signal path dialed in. It's a nominal setting for a dynamic mic. And all I have to do is turn it up, and away you go. Rather than having this whole control panel of sort of knobs, faders, everything centered attention, having to know, I've got to dial it in like this just to start. It's all done, right? And what's more, you can sort of change that. We can start dialing that in. So let's just say our vocalist's a male vocalist. Not an ordinary dynamic mic, but it's a male vocalist on a dynamic mic. I can go down here and you can see all these different icons, my favorites. And I say, look, I'm going to change that input to a male vocalist. And so
the dude.
There's the dude, right? Let's give the dude a name just while we're at it. He could be the dude. There we go, dude. Okay, so there's the dude, right? That sounds weird with an English accent, dude. So there's the dude, right? Now he's dialed in as a dude would be on a mixing board. And, everything's great. We turn him up. But then somebody from the back of the room goes, hey, dude, you don't sound so bright, right? In the old, with other mixers, you have to say, how do you interpret bright? What do I have to do to make him sound brighter? Well, here you go to this button, said tweak, and these different XY pads show up. And bright is associated with tone, right? And so we put our finger on here, and we move towards the label bright and get the dude to start talking until we say, oh, you're bright enough now. Or we say, now you're a bit bright, let's darken you off a little bit. And what's happening is controlling multiple EQ parameters at the same time. Even a front house guy would have to grow a couple of extra pair of arms to do that simultaneously. And so we've dialed the dude in, and we go here, it's great. Now we hit this perform button, and we can turn the dude up, we can turn him down, and away we go.
So it's sort of you're melding left and right brain, really, introducing kind of creative brain interfaces to do engineering brain things.
That's absolutely right, you know. And the point is you can go totally left brain as well. If you want to know, you know that you want to tweak the dude, and you really want to tweak around with his EQ a little bit, we can go to this advanced level of tweakiness, and all the elements in the dude signal chain are now available for tweakage. Here's a parametric EQ, you can tweak that, or we can use a numeric way of tweaking him. You know, let's boost him by a couple more dB on this high shelf. You can see that little number coming up. So you can really get down and drill into it. And each of these signal channels, let's go back to setup and say, look, the dude's, it's a really weird act. It's just kick drum. It's just kick drum. We can shrink that as well. So let's make a little kick drum and the dude, and let's tweak the kick drum. And you can see the actual, now we've got something called sub boost, a compressor, and we can just tweak around with all these things.
This is really designed to be used from the side of the stage by a performer on the fly while you're setting up, doing your sound check, even make changes while you're performing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, most of the time, because you're performing, you're not going to make that many changes, right? The idea is that, you know, when you get to perform mode, you may want to tweak the level. I mean, there are things you can do in tweak here. Like for the dude, we can put a feedback suppressor on it. There are 3 different levels of that. I mean, those are the things, that's the stuff that kills the performance. So that's built in, so that will take care of that. This trim tracking thing automatically adjusts the input trim and makes the gain up in the channel, you know, if you start clipping the input. That's a pretty clever thing. Yeah, but the idea is that you sort of set it up, and when you get to perform mode, I mean, if there are some things you can do. If you want to all of a sudden rapidly, you know, change the pan on the dude, then you can do that. You can get into that mode and some things like that. But essentially, that's it. You can record the channels. Actually, let's put a few more instruments on the stage. Let the dude play with an electric guitar. So you basically build your stage up, and put a snare on there, some overheads. One of the things the dude needs to do, he needs to hear himself, right? Yeah. And monitoring's a real pain. So here, I've got a monitor attached to this plug here, so I'm going to plug that in here. And all of a sudden, a monitor shows up in my stage view. I'm going to shrink that a little bit because it's a rather big monitor, and I'm going to put it in front of the dude. And the dude's going to say, I want to hear a little bit of me in that monitor. So I go to the monitor button, press that, and I go, there's the dude. And I'm just going to send the dude to that monitor. The dude also wants to hear a bit of electric guitar, so I'm going to send a bit of electric guitar to the dude's monitor.
Whoa, lasers, man.
That's it, asteroids.
Killer.
You can get ointment for asteroids, you know. So there we go. So we've got, you can put multiple monitors, put another monitor in there. Maybe the drummer wants a monitor so he can hear the dude as well. So now we've got a monitor for the dude and a monitor for the drummer. And the drummer wants to hear a bit of the dude, so we go to the monitor. It's targeted, that's the one. So let's send some dude to the drummer's monitor. There's also other things we can do in the tweak page here. We can go to the dude, and we say we want the dude, you know, we want to adjust the dude in a different monitor, so we go to the tweak page and go to the monitor setup, and then we can send the dude to the different ones. We can actually tweak the monitors. We've got EQ on monitor outputs and limiters, and then this really cool 31 graphic EQ.
A lot of possibilities in there.
It's huge. I mean, it's really deep, but the idea is the top level, just by plugging a microphone in, you get a microphone going and dialed in at a nominal level, you know, immediately. But it's got the depth that you can drill all the way down, you know, the power's there, and it's all in this real tiny format as well.
Pretty fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, you were talking to Mike about the speakers. That's got this Line 6 link on them, right? We've got a Line 6 link output. So this is digital audio network chain. So rather than plugging all these things in and out, right? That's broken. It's kind of done that, right? So rather than doing that, we can just take this one single daisy chain network of speakers and hook it all up. You put a speaker on its side, it knows it's a monitor, and it sends that information back to here. And guess what? A monitor just appears on the stage, and it automatically routes the signal to it. So, you know, when you're setting it up, it's not like trying to chase the, you know, where's the monitor feed? Where's that connector? Oh, you got it backwards. Oh, it's hooked up to the wrong one. It just works. It just figures it all out. So, very simple.
Simon, well, thank you. Line 6, streamlining your sound engineering experience. You guys got a website where people should go out, find out more, explore the sound StageScape, rather?
yeah, just head to a just brand new revision of the Line 6 website, so line6.com. Just head on over there and give it a look. We're really excited about it. Cool.
Simon, thanks for being so kind, taking time. Cheers, man. This is Charles for PremierGuitar.com.